The mid-war British ship programmes that were designed to step from the emergency wartime production towards making ships that not only would serve in the latter stages of the conflict but also comprise the post-war fleet ended up being complex and quite often would end up leading to dead ends. Such was the case with the attempts to produce a new generation of cruisers. Work on larger cruisers in the early war period had produced a revised Belfast-type ship with some more available top weight for radar and other such devices, and a series of heavy cruiser designs with 9 8-inch guns in triple turrets. On the smaller side of cruisers, 9-gun versions of the Fiji-Crown Colony class and a Dido successor with 5.25-inch guns had also been spec'd up. However, there was a split. The Admiralty, back in London, preferred the smaller 5.25-inch armed ships, whilst the senior fighting admirals at sea preferred the heavier punch of 6-inch guns. Since the 6-inch did not have a viable dual-purpose mounting, the at-sea officer's preference, another version of an improved Belfast design, would need to have a substantial separate anti-aircraft battery. A design was drawn up, and it was proposed that this battery would consist of 6 twin 4.5-inch dual-purpose mountings and 9 twin Bofors, each of which would have their own anti-aircraft control radar, plus 16 torpedo tubes and as many 20mm as could be installed without making the ship roll over. 2 versions of this design were produced, designs Q and R, of which R was progressed. However, it was clear that things had escalated. The main battery was originally planned to be carried in Mark 24 versions of the triple 6-inch turret, which, whilst improved over older versions, was still a surface action only type. The new Mark 25 turret seemed like a panacea. It would double the rate of fire of the 6-inch guns, it could elevate and track high enough and fast enough to engage in anti-aircraft work, and it would give the ship a ferocious 18-gun heavy anti-aircraft battery on the broadside once you incorporated the 4.5-inch as well. The only problem was that, being a semi-automatic system, it was considerably heavier than the old turret. Shockingly, making the main guns, the secondary guns, the torpedo battery, the medium and light anti-aircraft batteries, and the sensor suite all heavier than those found in Belfast, whilst keeping speed requirements and armour thickness the same, meant that there was no realistic way this loadout was ever going to fit onto Belfast's hull. And thus the displacement grew considerably, reaching just over 15,000 tons standard. Attempts at drawing the displacement down were made with follow-on designs V and W, but neither of these were particularly successful in gaining acceptance. Even with this increase in displacement, there were additional mass reductions felt needed. It was decided to reduce the armour. The machinery spaces would be protected only against destroyer-type gunfire, albeit that this was still 4-inch thick plate thanks to the increasing size and power of destroyer guns at this point. The magazines would retain box protection against 6-inch fire at 4.5-inch thickness, and 108,000 shaft horsepower sent through 4 screws would give the ships a top speed of 33 knots. With the final armament set as 4 triple 6-inch dual-purpose turrets for a total of 12 guns, mounted in pairs super-firing fore and aft, the hull ran at forecastle level back to just before the aft main guns, and this area supported 6 twin 4.5-inch dual-purpose mounts, 3 per side, a total of 10 twin Bofors, each with their own fire control radars, 14 twin 20mm Oerlikons, and 4 quadruple torpedo tubes, 2 per side. This version was known as Design Y. Arguments over the precise nature of the ship's armour continued though, with some parts decreasing and others increasing in thickness. However, these didn't afford any real size or cost savings, as reducing the weight in one area simply meant more armour was required in another area. By the time a slightly revised version was prepared with 300 tons more displacement, it was early 1945, and with the end of the war on the horizon, whilst the class had acquired a name, Neptune, it was also realised that construction would soon shift to rebuilding the merchant fleet. It was therefore proposed to roll the last Tiger-class cruiser into the new ship's production line, so therefore a total of 6 vessels would be planned, although it was expected construction might take some time. It was hoped that the ships could be completed at least before 1950, and as such the first 2 would need to start construction in early 1946. However, When 1946 rolled around, the advent of the twin automatic 3-inch anti-aircraft gun and another dual-purpose 6-inch turret, the twin Mark 26, which offered an even higher rate of fire than the triple Mark 25, along with demands for better crew amenities, saw an order for the Neptunes to be redesigned. This design would initially come back with 5 twin Mark 26 turrets instead of 4 triple Mark 25s, and a secondary anti-aircraft battery composed entirely of 3-inch automatic guns. This was sufficiently different to constitute a new classification, and so Design Z would become the Minotaur class, thus marking the end of Neptune class development.
That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you have a comment or suggestion for a ship to review, let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to comment on the pinned post for dry dock questions.